Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Savvy Entrepreneur meets Energized Colorado. Today, we'll be discussing what is digital marketing with Nick Armstrong. Nick, thanks for joining us. Please introduce yourself to the audience.
Hi, I'm Nick Armstrong, WTF Marketing, the Geek in Chief, and the lead organizer of Fort Collins Startup Week and Fort Collins Comic-Con.
Great, thanks for joining us today. And I think you're going to be a great person to explore this topic with. So, what is digital marketing?
That's a great question, and it's anything that is not print and anything that is not tangible. So that is, digital marketing could be a text message you receive. It could be social media, which is probably the most common thing that folks attribute with digital media. It could be an ad that you see on Google. It could be a robocall. It could be any number of things that lead into, and in fact, we just saw digital avatars in Instagram, which was a cool thing. So the creation of the digital avatars, their fashion sense, and all the rest of the things that go into creating those models, making sure that they are, they look lifelike and realistic. That's digital marketing, and also understanding the composition of those avatars. What do they look like? How do they act? What do they sound like? What do they, what language do they speak? What gender are they? Are they gender fluid? Are there other things that go into this consideration for your target audience? So it's from a high level view, it's literally anything that you can't touch or hold in your hands.
Wow, that's quite broad.
Yeah.
There are several things you mentioned in there that I want to unpack. You started off with, online presence, and you went all the way to robocalls. Now, I enjoy my time on social media, but I don't so much enjoy the robocalls. Let's unpack the different options for a business for digital marketing.
Yeah. And it really depends on who your audience is and what you're trying to get them to do, right? So during election season, we get a whole slew of things like robocalls and texts and other things encouraging us to donate or to vote or to show up to rally support or to go and learn more about something. Sometimes it's for our extended car warranty. Believe it or not, these things work. And so, when we're talking about physical marketing, things like mailers also work in tangent with some of these other things. So to have a fully well-rounded marketing strategy, you should probably include some things in the digital world, unless you're trying to market to people who are absolutely disconnected from the internet.
That's a good point, because there are populations that use the internet a whole lot less than others. So understanding who your target customer is going to be very important in determining what type of digital marketing or digital marketing at all to do.
Yeah, and in the most simplistic way we can put this, the time is money. So if you invest your time in something as a small business owner, an entrepreneur, or even your staff's time, you're investing in that medium beyond whatever it costs to engage in that platform. So, a lot of time in the early days of Facebook, we said Facebook is free. Well, it wasn't free because it involved your time to establish those relationships, to set up that marketing channel, to do the branding, to write the copy, to write the content, to post it, and now to schedule it and put in time to learning a scheduling tool if you use a scheduling tool. And also the staff time required to train and understand how to engage with the audience. So there are a lot of different models to put into play for this, and not just engaging with customers, but also engaging with, future or current employees to keep them up to date.
That's a great point. Let's talk a little bit about engagement through social media for both your future customers and potentially future employees.
Yeah, we've seen with the advent of LinkedIn and the purchase of LinkedIn by Microsoft, this idea of a social network for professionals. And, there's others that have come along like Alignable and some other various things. And we have the ability to not only search for and recruit talent that aligns with a particular type of psychodemographic or sociodemographic or talent pool or ability. We have the ability to retain them by allowing them to showcase their work. So, Dribble is a great example of this for graphic designers, in-house graphic designers. And, right up the street from you, Sticker Giant is a fantastic case study in employee engagement and interaction through social media. Jesse Fridas, who we interviewed for the Fort Collins Startup Week podcast, had an amazing story about how they created a Guinness World Record based on one employee saying, "I think that we should do this. I think this would be a lot of fun. Is there Guinness record for this? No, cool. Let's pursue it." And the entire team jumped on board to support that effort. The company got behind it because they put time and material and effort into that as well, and employee time. And we also have heard, in the past about how Google allows their employees to have flex time at the end of each week to build and experiment and do their thing. Well, this is the same concept. If you truly allow your employees to live their full digital life and embrace that and enhance that somehow, maybe it's audio drama, maybe it's a podcast, maybe it's a photography, maybe it's crafting, maybe it's woodworking, whatever it is. If you can emphasize how cool your employees are and highlight them, you're on your road to fast retention and keeping them on board long term. Because as you know, restaffing and retraining is one of the biggest costs to a small business.
Absolutely. Yeah. So this sounds really powerful for a business to do. Now let's talk about practicality. How does a business go about doing this?
The idea of marketing starts with a strategy. And you really want to have effective marketing built around goals. So you want to make sure that you're asking, who is this for and why are we doing it? And knowing how much it's going to cost going into it is another good example of proper planning. If you understand who your market is, and if it's employees or if it's customers, and what the goal is, we want to hire 3 new people from this particular segment, you know what efforts are going to be required in order to do that. And it also informs which platforms you use to do that work and how much staff time will be required to invest and what kinds of copy and graphics or videos or other assets need to be created. Now, as our tools have gotten better, we've got Yeti microphones, we've got HD cameras built into our laptops and our computers. We've got phones that operate as full digital media platforms. We have the ability to cheaply and quickly produce this content. How polished does content need to be? Is it going to an investor who's going to throw $8 million at you? Or are you going for a seed round? Or are you looking for one really good employee who's going to hear a heartfelt message from the owner of the company asking for a particular type of help? And that's going to be the most effective thing. Which model do you choose? It depends entirely on your goals.
Absolutely correct. Now, for everyone, there are some things that everyone's going to need, right? There's some assets, digital assets, and other things. Do you want to discuss those things?
Yeah, so having your logo in a wide number of formats is a really important thing. Having it as a transparent PNG and a scalable vector logo is a really useful endeavor as well. Knowing that different platforms have either circular avatars or square avatars, that events, if you're going to run events digitally or in person, those have specific requirements for the cover images and the banner widths as well. So having a graphic designer, or if you're going the DIY route, a tool like Canva or a Photoshop subscription can be a really helpful tool for you to be able to establish yourself and quickly get the branding that you need. There are a lot of tools out there that automatically adjust and customize your branding based on the size requirements that are required. And so I would point to Canva as a really easy and low-hanging fruit in this area.
Great advice. And there's a ton of tutorials online if you have any trouble. So what would be the number one thing you'd suggest a business do to start their digital marketing presence?
The first thing is establish your goals and know what you're trying to do in the marketplace. Now, it has to be a lot more specific than make a bunch of money, or it has to be a lot more specific than recruit a great team. You need to be very specific about what your goal is in marketing. And the more specific you get, the better focused your marketing efforts will be. And I'll give you a great example of this. So one of the things that we do with Startup Week is to attract a wide array of entrepreneurs. Now, we didn't specifically have any panels in Spanish, and we were missing about 10% to 15% of our business community in Fort Collins. We needed to bring in not only Spanish interpretation, but full-on business owners who are native Spanish speakers who could present on their topic of choice and do it well. And so we recruited from our local community these Spanish-speaking business owners who could present a panel entirely in Spanish and do it really well. And we, in doing so, brought in a whole new community to our event just by being inclusive and asking the question, what is our community missing and what do we need? And we've heard this from our audience and our partners. So we started with, we have a product, we have a service, we have an existing platform that we are using that's maybe not as effective as it could be. So we asked the question, what's next? Where do we go from here? Where can we make gains? And in serving the community, the best place to start is with a survey. And so if you are already an existing business, start with a survey. If you are not an existing business, start by looking around at what's offered out there and survey your competitors or survey your future competitors or the folks that are your platform. Find the folks who are doing it well. And 5-year-olds and to 7-year-olds, my kiddo is 7, are very good at this. They find the people that they want to be like, and they ask them questions. And they say, "Oh, and I'm the lead organizer of Fort Collins Comic Con. So my son goes up to the cosplayers and he says, 'What's it like to be a superhero? What do you do? How do you do?'" And so you get these great questions. Be that 5 to 7-year-old in yourself and ask those smart, focused questions like, how many times did you have to lift up the hammer in order to be able to swing it like Thor? Like, those are great questions to be able to ask of an entrepreneur who's been there, done that, got the t-shirt. They will help you, because every entrepreneur who's been there, done that, got the t-shirt knows exactly how hard it is to get that t-shirt. So they will help you.
Absolutely, Nick, and great advice. For any of you guys out there who want more information on this topic, please follow the link below. And until next time, stay savvy.